Welcome to Mississippi Outdoors Radio on Super Talk Mississippi. Joining us in studio, as always, wildlife biologist Adam Butler, and from the Law Enforcement Bureau, Major Chris Reed, who's just going to sit here and listen to turkey talk for the next hour.
I can add a little snippet here or there.
He's not a novice
at
the turkeys.
Maybe we
by
can
no means.
We can make something up. If anybody's out there looking to expand my experience level, just text in GPS coordinates to the C Spire text line.
The Major would like to know where you're hunting.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
Not to check your license either.
No, he wants to come hunt.
Right.
It's a completely different thing.
I'll send Butler out there. Check. What is that called? Like field research study or something like that? Sampling. Yeah, there we
Quotation. I'm doing my air quotes. Sampling.
Do you look back, Adam, at the day when you decided what you were going to do for a career was basically an excuse to hunt? And think that was a genius day for me.
That's actually a funny story. I didn't really want to be a turkey. I have been eat up with turkeys since I was a little kid, and decided I wanted to be a biologist when I was probably in my late teens. But I did not want to work on turkeys, primarily because I felt like it would become a job and sort of take it away, take away the magic for me. Yeah. And lo and behold, I got all the way through school, and when I interviewed for the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, they had 2 openings, and one of them was turkey, and the other one was something else, and I picked turkey. So there you go. Yeah, that's the story.
And here you are.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
One of our private lands biologist positions.
Like John Grucci?
Like John Grucci. Yep.
Yeah. So instead, you went with turkey, and did it work out that way? Did it turn it into a job for you?
No, it probably made it worse. It did the exact opposite of what I thought it was going to do.
Yeah, because
it made me even more crazy.
Well, now you're just turkey 24/7.
That's right.
You're getting paid to be about the turkeys.
Think about them all the time.
He gets blamed for it too, I guess, if people aren't happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tote that.
And there's some people that aren't happy. We can talk about that in the show. It's not all rosy on the turkey front these days.
But the only way Adam can truly assess what your problem is if you invite him to come hunting with you.
That is a valid point.
Yeah, take him to your spot so that he can see and he can identify exactly what's going on. He's just trying to help.
Yeah, that's
it. I'm selling it as hard as I can for you, Adam.
You guys joke.
I'm doing the best I can here. Before we get in the turkeys, got some other stuff to talk about. Got some grants.
Yeah, quick stuff on different intro announcements. Our youth participation initiative grants are we're taking applications for those on the website. I think through April the 1st. Okay, starts on April 1st, but you may want to start getting your ducks in a row on that. So these are opportunities where different groups can undertake anything to try to get youth involved in the outdoors. So if you have youth-oriented events, youth hunts, youth workshops, camps, anything to get them involved in hunting and fishing in the outdoors, we can help pay for some of that. So you may want to check those out. They've been around for a number of years, and like I said, we're going to be it is a grant process, so it's kind of a little bit of formal paperwork, but you and your group may want to take a look at that. Likewise, on the youth front, summer camps at the Mississippi Museum of Natural Science. You may want to look at those. The registration begins on those, I think this week. Yeah, I think it just opened this week. So pre-K all the way up through high school, I believe. So different activities for different levels of interest, but a lot of fun stuff there for the youngsters to do on summer break at the Museum of Natural Science.
You want me to talk about
boat registration?
The one you issued me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good reminder as we the spring is upon us and people are ready to get their boats out to make sure that they're registered. Check your registration before you go out. It's one of those things that you can make sure your motor's tuned up, make sure you got gas in your boat, make sure you have your fishing license, whatever the case may be, and you may overlook that, but make sure you do that. They're good for 3 years. Just something we're wanting to ensure people have so they don't have a bad experience when they go out there, because it is the law that if you have a motor attached to your vessel that you have to have it registered, and that includes if you got a kayak and you put a trolling motor on it, at that point you have to register it. But just a reminder. And then we also have, with spring coming up, youth fishing rodeos are going to get kicked off, and those are all listed on our website. They generally start late March. I mean, because it's still generally cold on normal years, and then they run all the way through summertime. And so those are all listed. They're all over the state, and a great opportunity for kids to have a really good experience, because we kind of stack the deck when they go to these fishing rodeos.
It's a little bit of a layup.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee, but it's
which is good.
pretty close.
I mean, kids are, they want to be entertained, they want to have success, and but check that out also on the website.
Yeah, but at the same time, if just every time you dipped your hook in the water, you came up with a fish, it would kind of take some of the fun out of it.
That's true.
You know,
let's
you can
just say
increase the chances, but
the agency makes sure there's a lot of hungry catfish there.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You don't want like 50 kids showing up and fish aren't biting that day, and they all leave going, this is lame.
Fishing stinks.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
want
out.
to do this.
I'm out. My Xbox or my iPad always is there.
Going back on the face tube.
Right.
So, yeah, these fishing rodeos, how do kids sign up and participate for these as they come up?
We usually list them on our website, and I know, Chip and the gang will social media those out kind of as they come available. I'm trying to remember where the full list on the website is. I believe
in the fisheries tab.
Yeah, I think it's in there. You can dig around and find it. But if not, we usually are going to announce them via social media as they come available. There's one this coming weekend in Biloxi at Hiller Park. So if you're on the coast and interested in that, right now I think we have it up on the Facebook page and the website, so you can go register for that.
No, the biggest question is, do you think I can pass as a 10-year-old? Because it sounds good.
Not at all.
Okay. It was
Not
worth
even
a shot.
Not even close.
Okay. It
Not
was
with
worth it.
anybody's eyes closed.
Not even if I shave?
No.
Okay.
Well, Dave, I didn't want to bring the hair issue up, but it's not so much the whiskers that's going to be the problem for you.
Could have been wearing a hat too
Yeah.
much. You don't know. It could be a disorder. You have no idea. I'm just trying to work out what my odds are, and apparently they are 0. You also have a trail workday coming up.
Yep. If you're interested in helping out at Clarko State Park, going to have later this month on the 28th, which is a Saturday from 10 to 4, taking volunteers to help work on some of the trails there. So that's a pretty cool area and opportunity for folks if that's a park that you really care about to get involved and help make it better. So March 28th, 10 to 4, Trail Work Day.
After the break, we're going to get into turkeys, which means I'm going to say, welcome back, and here's Adam Butler, and then, Major, you and I can go for
Now it's time for a break.
breakfast or something, or
It'd have
whatever.
to be like that.
I don't know. He's
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Yeah. But before we get there, I do have one question from the C Spire text line, and this is right up your alley.
All right.
This is your area of specialty. Jeff in Grenada said, when I first started hunting turkey 25 years ago, turkeys gobbled constantly. Hunting was very enjoyable. It's not the case anymore. Turkeys come in quiet. I don't even hunt turkey anymore. What caused the change?
Well, that's a tough one to answer. To know exactly what's going on, but the issue of there being fewer turkeys and people not hearing as many turkeys is something that's on the mind of a lot of people around the southeast. So we can get into that a little more later in the show, but that's not an uncommon comment.
So what you're saying is Jeff in Grenada is not alone here.
Yeah, he's not alone, but hang on, we'll talk about that as we get to it.
That's coming up on the list here, and we have some other questions coming in. On various different subjects. Rusty in Greenville. Major, here you go. People are thinking too hard today.
Yes.
What if you have one of those long rods with a propeller on it that you put in a drill? It's not mounted to the kayak, so do you still have to register your kayak?
What? What
Like put a propeller on a long rod that's attached to it, like a
power drill?
Like a power drill with a battery pack, and you stick it in and you drive it.
You're going to need to register your boat.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I just read them. Don't look at me like that. I didn't come
that's
up
what I'm
with
saying. Like if that's
like
what,
that's like the redneck trolling motor or something.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any type of propulsion,
Yeah.
get it registered. I don't know what you're going to put on the registration form. Other would probably be what you check.
The old drill trolling motor.
Not a bad idea.
Handheld.
Perfect. You want to back up, you just flip that little switch and just pull the screw out. That's all you got to do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, well.
They're so
Welcome
so
to the
much
show, Chris.
ingenuity in our state.
It probably worked with a kayak, though, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
It's kind of light.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the propeller, and I think it would have the RPMs, I think it would work. Innovation. That's what we're all about here on
That's it.
Mississippi Outdoors
Let's do
Radio.
it.
When we come
Register them
back,
kayaks.
we're going to talk turkey and get away from power drill boating equipment here on Mississippi Outdoors Radio. Mississippi Outdoors Radio. Super Talk, Mississippi. It's Turkey Day. Adam has sat here patiently while we talked about white perch and deer and everything else.
He's been talking about turkey since
I just
boat
slip it
season
in.
started.
Now we can talk openly about it. You know?
Yeah, yeah,
We're just
it's-
slipping it in.
It's a
before.
fair point. Well, that's what it's been about through every commercial break for the last
Yeah.
couple of months at
Yeah.
least.
Lest we've heard where any are located though. He won't tell you that. He'll
Well,
tell you
here's
about
a
all
funny
his
story.
Research and
Major Reed here
hunting.
had proposed a turkey hunt we were going to make together. That it's like a lot of things. You know, before the turkey season, we talk about it, and then when the turkey season rolls around, it's just crickets.
Well, we know the problem. You won't tell him where to meet you.
Yeah, I can't drive around forever. I'll run out of
That's the
gas.
whole problem. I could identify
Meet
that
me
from
at
over
the
here.
biscuit store and so and so location, because every town's got a biscuit store.
Oh, well, yeah, of course they do.
Meet me there, get some coffee, get a biscuit, get a turkey in the back of the truck.
And then follow me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Oh, he'd probably tell me to get in.
Yeah.
then
And then tell you to put the blindfold on
Right.
like you were going to the bat cave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turkey season basically here, right?
It-
We had
it-
youth hunts this past
Basically,
weekend.
here, yeah, the youth season opened Saturday. It's still open, so youth Saturday through this coming Friday, youth only. So no adults. And then the regular opener will be Saturday the 14th. I know there's been a little bit of confusion about that. Traditionally, for the last 15 years or so, we've opened on March the 15th. And this year, the 15th falls on a Sunday. And generally speaking, the agency will not open a major hunting season on a Sunday. The only exception, sometimes with dove season, we will, sometimes we won't. But with
And those
turkey,
are generally mandated by federal guidelines.
yeah.
that
Yeah.
prohibit-
So with turkey, we're just reverting to the day before, so it is the 14th. But I know we've had some calls about that at the office.
And that's
and
just so
things.
you can have the whole weekend.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
makes
we
sense.
try to utilize those weekends and Saturdays for the working man. Who,
So don't wait until the 15th. It is going to be open on Saturday the 14th.
As long as you got your license, you will not get in trouble on the 14th turkey
That's right.
hunting.
That's
Correct.
right.
Yeah, that's good information. And I put that in for you, Major, so you wouldn't
thank
have
you, thank you very
to
much.
weigh in and go, wait a minute, you could get in trouble. You could have a propeller on a rod on a drill. Now, have you heard anything about this past
Yeah,
weekend?
so
Halloween?
the youth kicked it off Saturday, and I've heard, I've talked to people, heard a few reports. The gobbling activity was pretty slim. I mean, we're still, fairly early in the breeding season, so
And I keep looking at the trees around here, and it just looks early.
it does.
Like
I
the
agree.
trees are, like they're putting leaves on, and
Yeah, it started off, back in February. I thought we were going to have a really early spring, and stuff, started blooming kind of early, and then I guess the raining every day and not seeing the sun for weeks on end sort of
yeah,
stalled everything out. So
the turkeys
my
or the leaves.
my gut feel on the turkeys is that we're still pretty early. We've been just trail camera pictures, stuff like that. You normally start seeing the gobblers with the hens a lot earlier than we did this year. So I think it's kind of early.
Well, and the other thing I think that has hurt us a little bit is that we had a warm spell and then a freezing cold spell and then a warm spell. So everything's confused at this point. I
Yeah.
think that's the way I put it anyway.
It's been a weird month or two. I mean,
Wet.
we haven't
Wet,
had.
wet,
Well, I
wet.
guess we did. It was pretty this weekend. But I mean, we've
Yeah.
not had many 2-3 day stretches in a row of seeing the sun for since January, at least.
Yeah, I don't know that it happened much then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do know we're wrapping up the rainiest 30 days that we've had in a long time, if possibly ever, in the state of Mississippi. So
I saw where Montgomery County was the wettest county in the United States of America for
Wow.
the month of February.
I wouldn't
I can
doubt
believe
it.
Almost 16 inches of rain.
Pearl River's back up again.
Yeah, I
so
noticed that.
Grab your gear and get out there and Get you a turkey.
Yeah.
So we're building it up so well.
yeah. We're
Well, that's the good thing about
really helping everybody's
That's the good
outlook.
thing about our
Yeah.
turkey season, though. It does
Optimists.
get better as it goes, usually.
That's true.
Most years.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in kind of the northern part of the state, definitely does. But youth are after it. We're game checking turkeys. Youth have to abide by the game check regulation that got instated last year. I looked at the total before we came over here earlier in the day. I want to say it was right around 150 or so earlier in the day had been logged already.
How's that compare to other years?
Well, we only have one other year to compare it to on the game check, and it's pretty similar numbers. I think through the first weekend last year, or the Monday after the first weekend, we were just under 200, if I remember right.
Okay.
So fairly close.
Maybe a hair down, but
Yeah.
in the same ballpark.
Yeah. It's probably worth mentioning, because we've already had some calls about it this morning at the office. If you are taking a youth, as we said, they do have to abide by the regulation. If you're using the app, you can add a youth in there. So we have options available if you're primarily using the Game Check app, which most people did last year. If you go to, I think it's add a profile, you can add a youth in there and then swap back and forth between. So
It's not complicated.
nah.
Okay, so what do you do? Just like take a picture?
No,
You just fill it in. There's a little plus sign in the top right-hand part of the screen. You just hit it and add a profile to it, enter the name, date of birth, and then you switch back and forth between
Yeah.
whomever.
Okay.
you do, and that's a key part. You do need to remember to switch back and forth.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
wind up causing a problem for yourself if you.
But when if you've done that, if you've added, your son or daughter or your youth, whomever it is that you're taking, added them in there, you'll see when you go to report, you'll see it'll list who you're reporting for. It has a little current profile. So
Okay.
just keep that in mind.
Okay. I got a text from Lincoln County. Says, in my 35 years of turkey hunting, I can say I'm at an all-time low on turkey sightings.
Yeah.
He's in Lincoln County, you said?
Yeah.
So that that is a common concern around the South right now. We can talk about this year's forecast, which I think relative to the last few years is going to be a better one. But if you look long term, Mississippi's turkey population has reached its peak quite some time ago, and the trend has been a little negative for about the last 10 or 15 years. And we're not alone in that. Other states are seeing that. Just last week, I was invited to go talk with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission about myself and kind of all the neighboring states that touch Arkansas. They had a big powwow over there about turkey population. So it's not just here. Louisiana's seeing it, Georgia's seeing it, Alabama's seeing it. And it's alarming. And I don't know that anybody really has a handle on it, but there's a lot of research and a lot of work going on right now, and a lot of stuff getting started off the, kind of getting going to look into that.
Jeff in Grenada, earlier made a comment about the turkeys coming in quiet. They're not gobbling. Well, number one, it's not peak gobbling time, is it?
That is true. Our peak gobbling in the state is usually going to be around the first week of April. Now that's going to vary depending on where you're at. I think he said Grenada.
Yeah.
So he's probably looking at, they're not going to be really gobbling really well there until right around the first part of April anyway. So we do open a little bit earlier than we used to, so that may have something to do with it. And there's more people turkey hunting now than there would have been 30 or 40 years ago. So, more pressure on those turkeys, and hunting pressure can affect their tendency to gobble. So that may play into that a little bit. It's hard to say exactly why. Why he's not hearing the turkeys gobble as much as he did. Maybe fewer of them. Maybe they're more pressured. Maybe that we're hunting them a little bit earlier in their breeding season, so they're not gobbling. They're not at their peak quite yet. So.
We were talking about the forecast. Good year coming up, bad year, average year. What do you think?
For most of the state, it relative to the last, like I said, the last decade or a little more, should be a good year. Most of the state. So what we look at a lot of times, we have I think pretty good data on turkeys from a lot of different angles. One of the things that we do is everyone who works with our agency, whether it be on the wildlife side as a biologist or whether it be on the law enforcement side as a conservation officer, we conduct a brood survey in the summertime, June, July, and August. So you're looking at turkey reproduction, and the hatch 2 years ago. Usually it's the birds that will be 2 years old this year are what really predicts how good the season will be. And so the 2018 hatch is what we look at, and it was really good across a lot of the state, particularly the southern part of the state. I know one of the other techs there was from Lincoln County, so that's kind of that south central, southwestern part of the state. That area had a really good hatch in 2018. A lot of southeast Mississippi had a really good hatch in 2018, and so almost everywhere, say south of I-20 or even Highway 82, had a really good 2018 hatch. So I expect those areas to be pretty good. Northern part of the state, the hatch was not great in 2018, but their numbers had over the last decade been pretty good. So maybe they're going to drop a little bit, but it won't be really far.
We'll get to the text line after the break because we've got a lot of people weighing in on turkeys all of a sudden, and we'll do that on Mississippi Outdoors Radio. Today, your gateway getaway, Clark Creek Natural Area, one of Mississippi's most beautiful, unexpected treasures, where you'll find waterfalls ranging in size from 10 to 30 feet. Yes, I said waterfalls in Mississippi. It's all on the 700-acre park. Clark Creek is a day-use park only. They do not allow camping, but they have some great hiking through the park, so you can come prepared with good hiking shoes, some water, and some snacks, and enjoy the day. While hiking, you're going to experience a variety of hardwoods and pines, among other species, and a variety of colorful migrating and resident birds as well. This beautiful park, open year-round, 7 days a week. Spring's here. It says here right around the corner, but come on, spring's here. Have you been outside today?
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's here.
Spring's here. So get on over there and explore it right now. You will not be disappointed. If you want to find out more, you can go to mdwfp.com, or you can call the park itself at 601-888-6040. And don't forget, you can purchase an annual park permit. $50 gives you access to all of the state parks for a solid year. You cannot beat that deal. And one of the parks included, of course, is today's Gateway Getaway, Clark Creek Natural Area. We're talking turkey, and the C Spire text line has caught on fire, Adam. There are people that are interested in this.
That's good.
Here's one a little bit off the beaten path, but it does apply to turkeys. They texted in from the 601, said, can you ask about the U.S. Forest Service doing prescribed burning during turkey nesting season and the impact from it?
It's one of those old myths, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a common question and a common concern. So the issue is that oftentimes it's particularly prevalent on Forest Service lands, but not exclusive to them, that they will conduct prescribed burns in the latter part of the springtime or summer, so the time period when turkeys are going to be nesting or brood rearing. And logically, you would think that's not a good thing for turkeys. And I know it's going to probably ruffle some feathers, pardon the pun, but there has been a pretty substantial amount of research looking at that at different sites. We here in Mississippi conducted a project on the Homachita National Forest in the early 2000s. There's since been work in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Louisiana. And I've not seen the results of any of those studies that make me think that is an issue. I know people want to challenge that and don't like hearing that answer, but generally the issue being that nests may be burned up and the clutch lost and everything. Most of the research that's looked at that, it's less than 5% of the nests are lost due to fire. And oftentimes what will happen is nests can get burned through, and the hen will come back and continue to sit on the nest. And there's even reason to think that a lot of the predators will stay away from that area that has been recently burned, because they're out there looking for rats and mice and other things that are not going to be there now that the grass has been burned off. A bigger issue, I think, is probably the scale of burning, which is the size of the burns, how big they are. So turkeys and a lot of other game species need a lot of diversity in their range. So if you burn a big block all at once, it kind of lessens the amount of diversity. It's all one thing. So there's more evidence with some of the recent sciences showing that is probably a bigger issue than the actual time of the year whenever you burn. So,
Okay.
But it
Makes
is
sense.
something that gets a lot of people, fired up. in the springtime.
Let's circle back around to this one and just reiterate it because we've got a text from the 601. Did I hear right? Season opens on the 14th?
That's correct. Yep. Like I said, 15th, which is our normal opener. We normally open on the 15th regardless of the day of the week, but this year 15th is a Sunday. And, just out of respect for religious services, we normally do not open, major hunting seasons on Sundays. So it reverts to the day before, Saturday the 14th.
Text from the 601. Is it true that turkeys do not gobble a lot when coyotes are around?
Yeah, they respond to predators for sure. They're pretty wary. So if they are aware that predators are around, or if they have been harassed recently, that could affect their tendency to gobble for sure.
Text from the 601. Turkeys come across my pasture and a peacock with them. I don't know. I'm just reading it for you, Adam.
So I've heard a couple of instances of that over the years.
I have a peacock story.
Yeah, you have a peacock story. It's funny. Like the peacocks apparently will occasionally go feral, and if they encounter a group of wild turkeys, they look at one another, and I guess they're kind of like, hey,
They start strutting their stuff.
yeah.
To hang out with the other turkeys.
So I have heard of that before. I don't know what's going on in their heads.
There was an
old.
old. You got more texts?
Got some more, but they can wait. I want to hear this.
No, it was one morning. I was actually hunting in an area around an old home site up there, close to a fella named Carlos's property, and this is a true story. It's made up, however it may seem.
If you know Carlos, you can ask him to verify.
Yeah, true. And so I didn't hear anything that morning. I'd set up, and I heard what sounded like a bird fly down, and the property, in 5 years before that, had a peacock that was living there at the house, an old abandoned house, and the river had flooded, and so one would think that it was like atomic bomb through there. Nothing was living, and something flew down, and I saw a bird coming around the side of a big cottonwood tree, and thought, well, he didn't say anything. I slipped in here stealthily, like a good game warden would, and he never knew I was here. And the bird flew down, and I thought, all right, it was dark, still right at shooting light. And he kept walking, and I was like, man, look at the tail on that thing. I mean, it was huge. It was like 8 foot long on this tail, and I'm like, what in the world is that? And I thought, there ain't no way that's that peacock. And then whatever the sound the peacock makes, yeah. He did that, and I thought, you got to be kidding
So
me.
did he like strut his tail and everything?
No,
like
if he would have done that, I'd probably shot him. So I just let him go because I was trying to shoot a turkey. But
Right.
that happened. Real talk.
There you go.
I love it. Got one, a text from the 901. Would an increasing population in hogs on my property be part of the reason I'm seeing and hearing less turkeys year after year?
It could be. So there's been some stuff looking at whether hogs are a big nest predator or not, and I think the jury's still out on that. There's some research in Texas that says that they probably are, and then there's some other parts of the South that says probably not, maybe not any more than anything else would be. But there is some pretty good evidence that turkeys and hogs don't necessarily, or I should say, turkeys don't tolerate being around hogs very well. That if turkeys are using an area and hogs begin using that area, kind of goes back to the predator thing. It's not necessarily that hogs are going to catch a turkey, but I think in the turkey's mind, it superficially looks like a predator, and so they may avoid that area a little bit more as a result of that. I've heard from a lot of landowners across the state, Chris probably has too, that it's not uncommon at all to hear the story that, hey, I had a lot of turkeys on my property and then started seeing hogs and didn't see as many turkeys. So that could be what's going on there, that they don't tolerate being around hogs very well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that ties into another text from Ken over near Meridian. Said, I hunt in Kemper, and we're overrun with hogs.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell the rattlesnake population has declined, but the turkeys seem to be holding their own. Can we expect a decline? And again, really
so
no way to know.
one of the, when I get asked questions about hogs, I use two examples. Florida and Texas have both had tremendous hog populations for a lot longer than Mississippi has, and both of those places still have really thriving turkey populations. So it's not a given that just because you get hogs, you're going to have turkeys crash. But I do think particularly if you're a smaller landowner and you've got, limited area, if the hogs start using that area really heavily, the turkeys, they may not have crashed, but they may just not be using that part of their home range quite as intensively. And to you, it's going to seem as if the turkeys all disappeared.
Let's see, from the 228, this is an interesting one. I'm just going to throw it out. How about considering closing all gun seasons on February 15th? People who claim to be squirrel and rabbit hunting become turkey hunters if the opportunity presents itself. I guess they're talking about they're out there hunting squirrel or rabbit, but if you or one of your guys shows up, they go, no, we're hunting turkeys, I promise.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. But
Yeah.
To me, just sitting over here, closing all gun season seems a bit extreme.
Yeah, because there's probably a lot more people who are honestly hunting small game from February 15th until the end of February than there are those few. If there's instances that the 228 texter knows about, then they could text us in or drop us a line and let us know where some of that's taking place, and we can put some focus on that.
Keith in Baden, by the way, much more forthcoming than you are, Adam. He says no shortage of turkey in Carroll County.
He's probably that's probably a decoy.
Yeah, that was my first guess, actually.
I tell you what, I heard it from a fellow constituent by the name of Luke over in the Kemper County world, who is raring to go come Saturday. The turkeys in that world must be something in the dirt over there.
Yeah, Kemper's always been a strong turkey county.
They got plenty of hogs.
It's actually, if you look at the history of turkeys, it's one of those places that never really lost them. That whole area of kind of East Mississippi.
Why say?
I don't know, but going way back, turkeys were almost wiped out.
Right,
in
extinct
the early
in
part
the
of the 20th
state.
century. That part of the state, seemed to retain them a little bit better than most.
Final segment of Mississippi Outdoors Radio on the way next. We're talking turkeys with Adam Butler, and the rest of us are just living in his world right now because this Saturday.
The peacock story is kind of the highlight of the show, I think.
Well,
really is.
I'm proud that Chip knew, because I couldn't think of the noise the peacock makes, and he nailed it.
He did a great job.
Screeched, man.
Yeah. It's a talent. You
Cut
ought to
through
take
the
that on the
darkness
road,
like a
Chip.
knife.
That was
Chip
pretty
and the
good.
gang.
Got a text from the 228 says, one more item you may want to explain to hunters, especially starting hunters. I'm pretty sure seasoned ones would know this already. But explain to hunters that where they see turkeys during deer season doesn't mean that's where they're going to be on the opening day of turkey season.
That is very true. So they shift their home ranges between winter and spring, and then back, summer to fall usually. So that's very true, and the way our season falls, it's right kind of in the flux period of when that shift is happening. So it's not crazy at all, for here right now.
Well, it's like you were talking about some of the ground that you can hunt is about middle April. April or so,
actually,
they start
you'll run into
transitioning that on your ground.
One of my family property. Sharing too much information.
That was a lot of stuttering.
It's one where generally the turkeys show up a little bit later. Usually it's kind of green up. You'll start seeing them, and that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon for the other way that you have a place you deer hunt and see a lot of turkeys in the wintertime, and then they vacate out.
Be like, man, I got permission to deer hunt this place or hunt it. Period. And then you're like deer hunting. You see 20 gobblers come walk through the food plot in December. You're like, springtime is going to be unbelievable. And then you go over there and it's crickets.
Yeah. We're just wrapping up a study with Mississippi State where we tagged a bunch of turkeys with GPS transmitters, and you can really see it in their movements. And it's about like right now is when they, right around the first week or two of March, they just wake up one day and they, I guess, realize it's spring and they take a walking. And
what's the range roughly?
The average home size range of a gobbler in Mississippi is 3,000 acres, pushing it. But that's a little bit misleading because it's you're really talking about two separate ranges. So if I'm talking about it throughout the year,
can you cut it in half roughly?
Several thousand acres during a given season. It's usually going to be. So if we're just talking springtime, you're talking several hundred acres to 1,000.
So you're
acres.
saying roughly, if you got a boss gobbler walking around a place, he could be 800 acres.
Yeah.
Covering an 800 acre
Right. But interestingly,
during the year?
the older gobblers tend to not do that as much. So older, if you want to
Well,
talk
they
about
don't
the
have as much
boss
energy.
gobbler,
They're tired.
well,
Their joints
I think
are
they,
achy.
they have one thing on their mind, and they think about it year round. So they're more likely to spend the winter close to their spring range.
So those
than
old
a younger
2-year-olds may
gobbler.
come romping in.
We had
after week.
I'll give you for instance on this study that we were doing. We had a gobbler that like on March the 8th woke up and moved about 4 miles.
Really?
Shifted his home range. So he had spent the winter in one area and then moved about 4 miles to where he spent the spring. So that's not uncommon for that.
So if
to
you go
happen.
open a weekend and don't hear a turkey, don't cash in the chips.
yeah.
Keep going and listening because
That's right.
they may show up.
And I personally, as a hunter, I don't spend a whole lot of time listening before the season for that reason because I feel like it's
They may be gone.
that's right.
Sleep in because you know you're gonna not sleep in for
Yeah,
45 days
save the energy.
straight.
Yeah. If you've ever read Tom Kelly's 10th Legion book, he talks about that in there. Why subject yourself to more sleep deprivation if you don't have to?
Yeah, because we both know you're not going to bed Friday night.
Oh, pins and needles, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Where are you going Saturday morning?
I can't.
Are you gonna be able to hunt?
You're getting way
Family
too specific.
land. He's
You're
going to
getting too
family
specific
land, Chris, with Carlos.
with Carlos.
Yeah, we'll get Carlos to put a tracker on your vehicle.
Yeah, we need a GPS band for Adam,
Yeah,
just so we can track his
Put it around
movement.
his ankle.
I like it. Thomas in Greenwood, when your wife says the yard turkeys are off limits like the yard deer, are you required to abide by that rule?
Hey, we don't have any regulations trying to get in those weeds.
Yeah. In other words, you're staying out of it.
Yeah, man, you talk to your wife about that.
Yeah, you two have that fight. We're not getting into it. Not going to happen. So season again this Saturday. It
This
starts.
Saturday, March the 15th, have to game check your turkey by 10 p.m.
The best way to do that is on the app,
Mm-hmm.
the MDWFP apps. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have your hunting license. Gives you a good night's sleep, and good luck.
Adam will be checking his ammo and cleaning his gun 10 times between now and Saturday morning. We all know it's going to happen. Enjoyed it as always, Mississippi Outdoors Radio, and it will be back again, of course, next Monday morning at, Monday afternoon, I guess, 12 noon. Morning, afternoon. Yeah, doesn't matter. Afternoons when you take a nap after you got up at 2 in the morning to go try to find the turkeys. That's what happens. Call Carlos. He'll tell you where Adam's family land is. We'll see you again next Monday for Mississippi Outdoors Radio. Rhino and I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 for the JT Show on Super Talk Mississippi. See you then.